Usually the Mossad, the CIA, they like to hide, lurking behind the scenes. But now the Mossad is bragging about the fact that they are in the protests in Iran. They're helping the protests, they're aiding and abetting them. And I'm not trying to discredit the fact that there are very legitimate protesters right now advocating and wanting regime change in Iran. Absolutely. But I also want to recognize that let's not play idiots here, guys. There are going to definitely be foreign powers, especially Israel, taking advantage of this and doing everything they can to make sure that the regime is overthrown. So the Jerusalem Post is just they're bragging about it. As protests grow across Iran, the Mossad posed an unusual Farsi message urging demonstrators to act, saying it will meet them in the streets amid rising economic pressure and public unrest. They apparently went ahead and on X stated, "Go out together in the streets. The time has come. We are with you, not only from a distance and verbally, we are with you in the field." And, they're just openly bragging about it. Now, what it's funny is you guys might know the former CIA officer, John Kiriakou, and he was previously doing an interview where he said the way the Mossad kind of operates is aside from having their actual people on the ground, what they'll also do is they'll recruit individuals. And when it comes to Iran, there's so many Afghan migrants in Iran that it's very easy for the Mossad to just be like, "Hey, you want $100? Go do this. Hey, you want $100? Go do that." And they'll go ahead and do it because they need money. They're migrants and they're just looking for a quick buck. And sometimes they'll kind of just help. Hey, here's $100. Go toss a Molotov cocktail in the middle of this protest. That's the sort of thing that's also kind of happening behind the scenes. Now, at the same time, again, I don't want to discredit the fact that there are, thousands and thousands of protesters, and a lot of them do actually want regime change. My goal here in this conversation is to talk about the fact that there is foreign influence, absolutely, which we both know is factual. What's so crazy about this is that we have people actually bragging about the fact that some Iranians are so poor now because of the U.S. sanctions, and some of them are looking and are in need of money that they're, willing to sell their organs. This is kind of how much anti-regime individuals brag about that. I'm talking about, let me go ahead and share my screen here so you can watch this video. This is truly just uneasy to hear. Take a listen to this.
We see signs of young men and women saying, "Give me some food." We saw a sign of a man trying to sell his internal organs for $500 American, probably a fortune in Iran today. This is truly pitiful. These are the kinds of conditions that lead to successful revolution and, God willing, nonviolent revolution.
And he's so happy about it. He's like, what's so weird that Max Blumenthal posted this during a paid speech at Rajavi's MEK cult. Rudy Giuliani celebrated claims that U.S. sanctions had forced Iranians to sell their organs in the street. I mean, this is kind of the people that are really excited about this. Donald Trump has been saying, the United States is going to go in and go into Iran if they even touch a protester, as if now the Trump administration actually gives an iota of an ounce of a damn of a human life, because apparently when Palestinian children have blood gushing out their face, it's fine. But when it comes to Iran, now all of a sudden the United States and Israel are, the saving grace. They want to make sure everybody's safe. So they're going ahead and saying, we're going to come in and we're going to stop the violence, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to put an end to it all. First off, I think they're going to try to put an end to it all no matter what. I think that's what that's what Israel is fomenting for. And Trump just doesn't care. He's going to do whatever Israel likes because Miriam Adelson is giving him $250 million. So he's going to go ahead and do that. And he's also going to listen to every other neocon. I mean, Lindsey Graham is, salivating, getting off to the idea of overthrowing Cuba, just doing regime change operations around the globe, because apparently that's going to bring America peace. When we flip over and do regime change operations, hoping for the best and hoping that there is no opposition militias that arise in the chaos that the United States causes when we do regime change operations, that those countries should figure out on their own. I hear a lot of the pro-Israel mob saying and going out saying, What how come I'm hearing complete silence from, the Palestinians and from everybody else when it comes to the Iranians wanting freedom. I'm not hearing anything coming out of their mouths, and they'll use that as some like funny "I gotcha" type of thing. Let me explain something very clearly. Every single Palestinian I know wants everybody to have freedom. Every single one. I think most everybody should. Everybody should want people to have freedom. That's not an issue, but Palestinians also know that when Iran's regime is overthrown and replaced with a Western backed puppet, that means that things are going to be harder on the Palestinians. That's just objectively true. Israel has no longer any existential threats in the Middle East aside from itself, which means all of the focus that it's focused on Iran, all of the focus it's put on Iran can now be diverted to the West Bank and Gaza, which means things are going to double down on the Palestinians. That's just objective fact. So we can also recognize that, of course, I want those people to feel free and to feel like they can truly, express, have self-dignity and everything else. And also recognizing that it's being used to ultimately it's going to end up backfiring on the Palestinians too. We live in a world where a lot of different things are happening all at once. And then at the same time, also, there are a lot of people in Iran that actually do support the current regime. I'm going on X as well, and I was seeing a video of protesters setting fire to a police officer. Protesters that the United States is also just stating are absolutely peaceful, that are against the regime, setting fire to a police officer and then lighting him on fire. So, it's going both ways. And again, a lot of these protesters are Mossad and Mossad mercenaries operating in Iran. A decent amount of them that are supporting, and the Mossad's bragging about it in the Jerusalem Post. So they're not hiding that as well. So, when you think about this, and this is another really important thing to think about, I personally don't think the United States and Israel are going to not seize the opportunity to do something. And if the concern is, well, the fake concern that they're putting out is that they really care and they're going to try to stop lives. They're going to try to stop lives from being injured, or they're going to try to stop the loss of life. That's what they pretend to care about now. All of a sudden they care about human lives. All of a sudden. I wouldn't be surprised if something bad happens where there's a massive loss of life as an excuse for the United States to go and do whatever it has to do, however it's going to carry out that sort of regime change operation. That's also something that we know Israel is more than willing to manufacture, so that way the United States gets involved. And, I just hope, and I've said the same thing about Venezuela, I just hope wherever there's a regime change operation, if it's already done and set in stone, I just hope the transition to whatever is next happens very, very rapidly. Because we already saw in Venezuela that there are oppositions and small militias forming in Venezuela that are against the US invasion. This kind of happens everywhere. There's always going to be militias forming when you create a power vacuum. If you think you could just install everything and it goes peaceful, I hope so. I hope so. It doesn't always end up that way. And, if it ends up happening and and the regime is overthrown, let me know what you guys think in the comments if something like that is to actually happen and we do see it. I can't even imagine what the next day is going to look like. It's basically going to be the beginning of the Israeli empire in the Middle East at that point. There's going to be really no existential threat. And Israel's just going to focus now on expanding, taking over the West Bank, taking over Gaza, as it already has, Lebanon, southern Syria. Who knows? Maybe the next boogeyman is going to be ISIS or Turkey, whatever. And it's going to use that as justification as to why it has to expand its borders, create more security zones, buffer zones. That's kind of going to be the next thing. If you guys just think it ends after Iran is taken out and it's done, and all of a sudden now there's peace, I promise you things are going to actually get a lot worse. And there's going to be a new boogeyman very quickly. Very, very quickly, there's going to be a new boogeyman. I'm betting it's going to be ISIS. I think they're going to, put some sort of fake scenario together and that's going to be the next boogeyman that's going to be used to justify Israel's expansion. Because there always has to be a boogeyman. There always has to be. So anyways, guys, that's really it for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Things are changing day by day. So who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. If you found this video interesting, I'd appreciate it if you click the subscribe button below and give it a thumbs up.